So let me start opening this laptop. From what I saw online, this top has to come off because the CPU is somewhere around here, the RAM is somewhere around here. So yeah, in this case we will go to the front and not from the back. Until now this laptop is extremely easy to take apart for RAM upgrading at least. It has 4 screws here, here, here and here, and they are all marked. So by the picture you know what to unscrew to change. So now it's kind of hard working with only one hand. Sorry about the camera angle. You just have to pry this apart. Mine has a little crack here that I will actually fix now because I was afraid to use glue when it was in place. Be very careful because there are some cables connected here and you have to disconnect this, but I can do it with only one hand, so I will stop the video for a moment. Okay, done. I would have been able actually if I would just pull a little bit because it's one of those pull up connectors. Here is one populated slot of RAM, the second one is free, so I will be upgrading with that one. And now we have to undo these 2 screws at the end and try and take this off. So let us continue. Just realized there is another screw in order to take out the keyboard, so you have to also undo that. The keyboard almost came out by itself. The connector is another pull up one. So yeah, we are pretty much in. Just have to take out the bezel here. For this bezel, like I said, there were 2 screws here, 2 in the approximately in the corners on the back, but you can find which one of them because they had exactly this type of come on, focus, exactly this type of head. The others remaining are a little bit different, so the long screws all have to be identical, and these 2 screws were in this, and there were 2 other screws of this type, and then this slides out, and of course it has some plastic tabs that you have to pull in the lateral sides, but nothing really bad. So yeah, this kind of pops out then. And here we are. I have to undo some more screws to get this cover out and then the whole cooler out. I took some more screws out. Until now these are the types that I found. 2 types here and these 2 that I put back just to be sure that this is contacting well. I didn't tighten them too much, not to tear anything apart, because there is no metal. The metal is here, you can see it, but yeah, I thought it's safer that way. Pull out the speaker and let it rest on the side because it doesn't bother me. Yeah, I will probably clean it a little bit. And now I'm thinking that these 4 screws are the last ones to take this apart. Yeah, pretty good. I really like this CPU cooler. It has a very weird, I never saw this in a laptop cooler until now. It has lots of weight. You can see it spinning a lot just from a little bit of a push. So yeah, it has a lot of momentum and it spins very well, very clean. So yeah, I really like it. And all copper. So yeah, let's take this apart and see where we get from there. I was right, these 4 were the last screws, and then you just start pulling slowly on it and wiggle it around. It doesn't have any more attachment points. Pull this cable out, of course, not to damage anything. Kind of doesn't want to come out. And then slowly take it out of the way. Of course the screws just fell in my hand, the remaining two. So yeah, this is the CPU, and this is the cool little cooler. Lots of thermal compound on it. This is how you release the CPU. And now, if you haven't done already, is a really good time to discharge yourself into something metal around your house. I will use the case from my desktop computer. Of course I did clean up the cooler because it also had dried thermal paste on it, and if the dried one on the CPU intersects with the dried one in here, then yeah, it will not work. Okay guys, for those of you watching the testing and unboxing of the CPU lot, this is the part where I install the CPU that will remain in my laptop. And for those of you watching the upgrade of the Lenovo T500, where this is the original CPU, a P8600, and this is the CPU that will be going in. It's an E8335 used in Apple computers, and if you buy one of these, be careful to use the code SLGEB. This is the CPU that consumes only 34, or at least outputs only 35 watts of heat. There are similar CPUs but with lower speed and more heat output, so this is the one that you want. Now let me just put this in. Be careful, you have a little mark here, a little triangle, and that triangle has to align with the triangle on the slot. So this has to be rotated. Be very careful because the pins are quite fragile. You do not want to push it in place, so you just drop it and move it just a little bit until it settles by itself. Actually this time it doesn't even want to settle. So maybe one of the pins it's just slightly bent. If this happens to you, one moment, I change the hand that I'm recording with. Okay, if this happens to you, you can try to insert it from the other side, but this one doesn't seem to be going in at all. So bear with me here. Okay, it's in. Now you keep it down like this. Don't push too hard, just a little bit, and turn this with the screwdriver. But yeah, because I don't have a tripod, or actually I do have a tripod at hand. Let me just stop the video for a second. Okay, we are on the tripod. Not a great tripod, but a tripod nonetheless. You just keep it like here in place, and you turn this around, and your CPU is locked in position. Now, yeah, I will clean this thermal paste that was used to test other CPUs, the thermal paste from the chipset, and put on new thermal paste, or in my case I will do something that might be pretty weird to some of you. This is the dried thermal paste from this laptop, and I will mix it with this kind of thermal paste because I saw it has pretty decent properties, and from what I know about it, it does not dry up. So that's what I need, a paste that does not dry up. And I will mix it with this because 99% of the time this type of gray paste is way better than the white one. So I will actually make a paste from this dried and this good one and put it on the CPU and the chipset. And probably, or actually it is better to buy new paste, but yeah, I want this done, and I don't want to wait a few days until that paste arrives. And if I see something it's not quite right, I will replace it, but I'm 99% sure that it will work like that without absolutely any problems. So let me just make this. This is what I got, but I do not recommend this. This is just because I don't like buying stuff if I can get around it, and because I like to experiment. It was pretty hard to make because you have to be very careful to not let any lumps survive from the dried up paste, so you have to squish it really good on between two metals. Applied it to the CPU and chipset. Not a very good application, but I'm thinking it's good enough. Probably way too thick, but yeah, should work. So yeah, let's do this and see what happens. I decided to go for it and put almost everything back together before testing the CPU. Let's hope it will work. But now I will plug in the keyboard and power it on, because yeah, I'm not really quite sure if everything is okay. Let me just tell you, if I forgot by now, you have to remove the battery when doing this sort of work on your laptop, and always be careful to put thermal paste on the CPU. Everything is working. Benching the CPU, but there seems to be an issue, and the CPU isn't getting its maximum speed because the multiplier does not seem to go. Let me just give it another bench. Does not seem to go, or let me just try and stress this, stress it, sorry. Doesn't seem to go above 10. So this CPU isn't reaching its maximum speed. For the moment I have no idea why, but I will investigate. Yeah, if stressing it, it seems the temperatures are going a little bit up. So I could decide to put better thermal paste and not leave the one that I made. I will see about that. But actually I did not stress any of those CPUs, even the original one, and the original one was almost at these temperatures with the standard bench, not with a stress, so yeah, I have no idea. Something is fishy. Why isn't this going at maximum? I will try, maybe I don't have the latest BIOS. I will see about that. If I find any solution, you will see it next in the video. If not, this has been the upgrade for the CPU, and the RAM is next. We have done it, ladies and gentlemen. A BIOS update was all that was required, and as you see, this is the first CPU from the whole lot that gets us into the 400s. So yeah, pretty happy with it. The temps are a little high, so yeah, clearly I have to change the paste, but yeah, it was good for an experiment and for 3 or 4 days until the new paste arrives. But this is pretty good. You can see we are getting the full multiplier now. And my BIOS was from 2010, so it was clearly not the latest version. This shows you how important it is when upgrading to have the best and latest BIOS. Sadly, it's still not showing me CPU Z, the memory information, but doesn't really matter as I've already seen it while I took apart the laptop. So yeah, really happy with the upgrade so far. Next, the memory. Back. Actually, I forgot to show you the CPU information. This is a pretty nice CPU. This is the main reason I got this lot, and the second reason is the i5. Okay guys, as the homemade thermal paste wasn't quite up to the job, I will take it off and replace it with something that I really wanted to try for a while, and now I got the chance. Yay! Cool Laboratory Liquid Ultra. This is easier to apply than Liquid Pro. It seems it will not drip as easily, and it's only 1 or 2 degrees worse than Liquid Pro. Or some say it's even the same as Liquid Pro, so yeah, it's way better than any other thermal paste for direct dye application. But you can only use it with copper and dyes and nickel. It should right here somewhere. So anything but aluminium. If you have an aluminium cooler, you cannot use this because it will corrode it and destroy it. So yeah, I'm really curious to see how this performs. And also my memory has arrived. This is 2 GB and this is 1 GB because I have 32-bit operating system on this laptop, and it would be useless to put 4 GB in at the moment. So this will run in something called Flex dual channel. So half of this 2 GB plus this 1 GB will be in complete dual channel, and the other half will be in single channel. But as the difference between single channel and dual channel is a maximum of 15% in memory speed, not in all computer speed, only in memory speed, and that is about in tests, in real life almost no difference. It's better to have 3 GB than 2 GB. So even before I was using just a memory stick with 2 GB, and that was single channel, so this is better. And this will be used together with the i5 to upgrade the laptop that still hasn't arrived at this point, but will be arriving soon. So yeah, this is my best choice for the moment, and 4 GB are useless on a 32-bit operating system, and it's working so good that I have no reason to upgrade to a 64-bit one. But if you can, some say on the web that they managed to use even 6 or 8 GB in the T500. I cannot tell you that for sure, but 4 GB will definitely work. More than that, yeah, it's up to you if you want to try it. So now I will clean this up and start applying this. Yay! I'm sorry guys, but I will not film trying to apply this because I'm a little bit scared. You have to be very careful because this is conductive, so don't put too much, just a tiny bit. And yeah, spread it in the pack. There are also this, and you spread it as best as you can. So yeah, I'm not comfortable doing this on camera, but you will see this on my G8358 CPU from my desktop, because that's a little bit bigger and I'm not that afraid I will mess something up like in a laptop, because if I put too much and this, when I travel, gets knocked out or something, it could go somewhere on the motherboard, and I really don't want that. So I have to be very careful not to put too much in here. And yeah, let's hope it's all okay. Okay guys, we are ready to do this. I hope the camera will focus on it. You cannot do a really much better job at applying it than this, because it kind of does what it wants. You cannot make a perfectly flat layer, but please believe me, just a little bit spreads a lot, so don't put too much of it. Now let's put everything back together and see the temps. Okay guys, we are on. I've benched it a little bit, actually a little bit more, and this is about the maximum that I got. So I'm thinking that's almost 15 degrees lower, at least 10 degrees lower, but maybe 15 it's more likely, sorry. Let's give it another stress test. It will slowly start to climb, but way slower than before. So yeah, this is clearly working, and this is a 35 watts CPU in place of a 25 watts CPU, and we are still getting decent temperatures here. Only now it's starting to rev up a little bit more. Yeah, my hand is shaking a little bit, so sorry about that. So it has to run for a pretty long time to get to this. Yeah, I don't really exactly remember the last temps, but yeah, about 15 degrees should be the difference. So this is pretty awesome. So yeah, I'm really confident now that this CPU will work without any problems in this laptop. And this is the memory, not upgraded, it's the old one. You can see it running in single channel. So now I will put the 3 gigabytes in place of this. Like I said, you can put 4 gigabytes without any issues, and if you are lucky, maybe even more, but I do not guarantee that. As you can see, with 3 gigabytes, dual channel. I don't know why it says symmetric. Maybe it doesn't know how to say flex mode. Temps okay. The new Samsung RAM. And everything works perfectly. Another upgrade that I did to this laptop was changing its hard drive from a standard laptop drive to an SSHD. This hard drive has 500 gigabytes of capacity, but also has an 8 gigabytes flash memory, like an SSD. And it sees what you are using the most on your laptop, what files, and copies them to that flash. So that those files will be accessed almost as quickly as from an SSD. The other files, like from a standard hard drive. you do not see that 8 GB partition separately. It does work like a standard hard drive, and it copies by itself there what you use the most. I could have put a standard SSD in the place of the optical drive, but I use my optical drive from time to time. So yeah, this was the best decision in my case. So yeah, this works beautifully now, and I just have to put everything back together. And this about concludes our upgrade of the Lenovo T500. If you have any comments, questions, feel free to contact me in the comment section. And if you found it useful, please give a like to this video. So thanks for watching, and bye.